Hi, and welcome back to my channel. You clicked on this video probably for two reasons. One, you're a subscriber, and I very much thank you for that because, I am a small person, in the world just trying to make some fun entertainment out of my imagination. Oh, Jesus. And you all are people that like what I make, and I'm very happy for that because I like making people happy. It's a common thing, what most people like to do. And so, give me a second. And so, you know, I really like this what if that I'm doing right now. And so I'm happy that you guys like it too. And so, oh geez, I should not have had that soda. Oh yeah, anyway, y'all know what this is. What if Izuku Midoriya was a dark entity god? Or, yeah, practically if he was a dark entity god. And so where we kind of pick up is Izuku kind of just watching over humanity and everything, giving them little things to help them on, even though the Roman Catholic Church does not like him, he still decides to, help them out, give them some money from time to time, stuff like that, um, help them with things. So he actually makes some of them think, oh, I'm a good person. I should do this because, you know, I just find that to be a better thing. Hmm. Yeah, sorry about the whole pausing thing. Um, so, you know, we leave off where Izuku is kind of just floating around, just flying around, and um, let's say in Egypt, because he likes how they make their temples and everything, their pyramids. So he's flying around, and some people see him and they bow to him because they think that he's a god, that he is. So he holds his hand out to him, and then their language says, "Please, there's no need for that. I'm just here to help whenever help is needed." Blinded by the light. Okay, I was just turning my computer off and stuff, so I don't have any distractions. Um, so pretty much throughout history, Izuku is just helping humanity, and so he's seen as kind of like the physical embodiment of God, like the actual, like, okay, over time, Jesus, I mean Hershey's Kiss. A church sees him as somebody who wants to help them, so they stop hating on him and they actually embrace it. So now instead of just one God, they have two. Izuku being the god of gifts and salvation and stuff, while the God is the one of he just does his regular stuff. And so after a while, Izuku's like, "Hey God, is there if I just take a little rest for like a while?" And for a while, like then for like a day or a few hours is probably like depending on like what type of zone they're in is like 1,000 to just a minute for them. It's really weird how how time works for them. But yeah, but God's like, yeah, sure, I'll watch after them for a while. And so uh, most of the cults that only worship Izuku decided that, hey, all these other religious followings also have things like our dark entity of a god. So they all make a meeting and they're like, so this is all of them together, and the one that only worships Deku is, or Izuku is, okay, is saying, okay, now you might be wondering, why did I call you here? I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory.
We all have different gods, but the only one that's the same is this one that's only been depicted in darkness. He's the one that seems like he would be the devil or a demon or something, but really he's practically like an angel, somebody who brings us salvation. And he's the only one that seems to have actually been able to give us things and help us. All the other ones just seem to not care. And the Egyptians are like, that is not true. Our gods love us. And they're like, okay, what did your gods give you? And they say, nothing really. And then they say, well, what do they ask for? And then they say, they ask for our, like the regular stuff. They ask for us to believe in them, to trust them, all that stuff that they would probably do. I haven't really learned about them, but you guess where you can get where I'm going. They ask every single one, and they all say that their gods haven't really done anything to them. They've only done things to their gods. The only one that's actually given back to them is Izuku, or the Dark Entity. And so, from that, they all come to, a standstill like, well, if none of our other gods are doing anything, are practically, you could say, non existent, but this one is, and he's practically proven to be real, then shouldn't we be, worshipping him instead of the others? And so all the gods are like, I mean, they got a point. And God's like, they do. It seems as though our time has come. Because once a god is, forgotten, they practically are absorbed into the other gods. That's how, God, like in this universe, God was created. There was many before them, but they all were slowly forgotten, and so all the like fragments were like taken by the other gods. And so they're like, I mean, we could still believe in them. There has been some things that have happened to us before our great, before the dark entity. But if we are to truly become the best that we can be, we need to show the dark entity that we are thankful to him and that we will give back to him if he gives us anything. Because only a few of us have actually been giving us him back to him, and it seems as though he's gotten a little bit stronger from that. But other than that, he's practically just a demigod with a little bit more of a invincibility to him. Not all the other, tribes and religious culture like, true. And so they're all like, we'll come under this one leadership. And I'm trying to think of the name for this gigantic, you could say, cult, or actually religion. I'm thinking it's probably just going to be called the Dark Sun. And they're practically going to look like they're just this really devilish cult. They're not going to make any blood sacrifices or anything like that. No, they're just going to wear like these dark clothes and stuffs to represent their god. And so they all start doing that, and Izuku kind of starts taking more of a form. Instead of just being this silhouette of a dark entity, he starts to get this type of actual, like, he looks like if the Silver Surfer didn't have a mouth and was just completely black. Or not really complete, like, it looks like he's just an embodiment of the galaxy, like the trying to think. I forget what it's called, but like he looks like he's a how do I put this? Hmm. He's he's like completely space type of black. If there was like no light in the entire universe, nothing at all to produce light of any kind, and you were to just look, that's the type of black you would see. That's how black he is. And the and to actually like he's still got like incredibly white eyes, and he's got these like a little um veins of white and red that are kind of like coming from his fingertips and his legs and everything to give him some, um, color and stuff like that. And he's still in his hibernation, but the other guys are slowly like they slowly kind of just like make a circle around him or like and are like, we're ready for the new god to be created. We are ready for the one that we have trained to become the one above all, you could say. So they all stand around him, cutting their connection from every civilization they've ever made to make sure that Izuku becomes a new god, because they know that he will take the mantle of God, like the one above all, you could say, and fulfill the destiny that they have laid out for him, and he will. And so, really, he's just going to help humanity still. He's going to help them more. They're going to like he just gets more powerful and powerful, and he loves the people and everything. So he's kind of like this. He's kind of like if God were to help people on a daily basis. Like no luck or anything. It's legit proven to be the black entity, the dark entity, you could say. But they call him the Dark Moon or the Dark Sun, you could say, or ooh, how about this? The son of the gods, or the god's son. They'll probably just call him the Dark Moon, or something like that. Like they'll just say, like it's called the Dark Moon, but Izuku's called like the Dark Entity and stuff. But people cherish him as if he was like this light entity. But in the midst of all that happening, there's been this other entity that Azuka created to kind of become this other entity, way less powerful than Azuka. He's practically like the light entity is practically a literal demigod. Like he wouldn't be able to hurt a fly. Like he could put a scratch on Izuku if he was using his max amount of power, even if he trained and stuff. But that light entity will become Izuku's will practically become Izuku's son, and he will put it down into a woman, you could say. That woman will probably be Ochako Uraraka with a different role. So how it happens is throughout the years, Izuku's kind of been helping people out. They don't really see him, but they can feel his presence and everything. He's helped in stopping wars, peace treaties, and everything like that. He's practically been the one to keep peace. And so he wanted to have a son of his own because he know that he couldn't have a childhood, and he wants his like an offspring of his to actually have one. And so he finds a suitable person that is actually that was actually a close friend of him. What to think. So like he's been able to snoop in on his like clone's life, and he sees that his clone loved this girl, and they practically got married and stuff, and they were adults. And so he tracked that person's history all the way back to the time that he was born, a little bit before, really, no, after, like like across the world. No, same hospital, and the woman's there because 12 months, or like, I think it's 12 or like 6 months. I don't really remember. Izuku put down um, put like a bit of his power that was more of like the light energy of him into his clone, and his clone and the wife did the dirties, did the birds and the bees. I don't want to have that conversation. Y'all already know. And so yeah, Zuko's practical son, like practically his son, was born. And so Zuko, because it's his clone, he's actually been looking in on his clone's life throughout his entire life. So Zuko has practically lived a double life. He's been a god while also being, his clone. Really weird to understand, but at the same time, kind of easy. I will side just try tracking. I will be remaking the What If Azuka Midori was Iron Man, because I have an amazing idea. Might be doing another one too. Anyway, and so something happens. Something Izuku never thought would happen. Somebody stronger than his son was created by this actual dark entity, you could say, practically by a devil. A devil that Izuku made to look over all the evil. And that devil was like, oh my goodness, these humans, practically all these humans are sinful. I do not know why my master didn't just banish them all to damnation. If he doesn't do it himself, I'll do it for him. And so that devil creates something. He practically creates another All for One. But this All for One is incredibly powerful. I know I just said powerful, but whatever. You get the meaning. Dang strong. Oh, I'm tired. What time is it? Alexa, what time is it?
It's 10:19 p.m.
Really?
Hope you've enjoyed your Monday.
I did. Really, I did. Anyway, Izuku sees this, and he sees that this All for One type of ripoff that's actually way more powerful is wreaking havoc. Now he thinks that the heroes and his son will be able to stop him, but he sees that even his son isn't powerful enough. So him on this big battlefield, like war torn, like practically the same thing that All Might was in with All for One. This gigantic destroyed battlefield stretching miles long, and there's just this gigantic crater in the ground where nobody's in the middle, but on either side you got the heroes, and you got the All for One and some of his creations that are practically just demons. And the heroes are having a hard time. And one of them that is practically like that Poison Ivy ripoff, the one with all the vines and stuff. She's like really religious, so she starts praying to the dark entity, saying, oh please, my Lord, help us now. Your children need you. Your servants need you. And Izuku, hearing servants, comes down, points at her, and says, you are not my servants. You are not my children. You are you are not my servants. You are my children. Don't ever call yourself my servants ever again. I don't ask anything of you. And I love that. I just want to help you and stuff. So right now, y'all just stay there, and I'm gonna whoop this guy's ass. And so he turns back around, right as the All for One ripoff jumps at him, and he catches the punch, breaks his entire arm and fists, and punches him right in the face and says, look, your master, the devil, whatever you call him, decided that these humans are all unworthy. But as you see right there, that girl, she isn't sinful at all. She hasn't done a single sinful thing in her entire life. The only reason why your master thinks that all humans are sinful is because he only gets the sinful ones. Okay? I make sure that he punishes the sinful ones. All the other ones come to heaven and stuff. And there's a lot of them. Your master made a miscalculation, so you go scurrying back with all your spawn and tell him he was wrong, okay? And if he has any problems, to come talk to me, because I'm sure he'd be real glad to talk to me. I mean, real eager to talk to me. And so the Awful One ripoff says, "Understood, my lord. I am very sorry. I did not mean this. It was just my directive." Azuka says, "I know, but please just go. I don't want any more destruction in this world that me and the previous gods made." And all the people were like, "Previous gods?" Because it's been a long time since that meeting, like more than 1,000 to 8,000 years. I mean, like, not 8,000, but you get the point. A really long time. And so he looks back and he says, "Oh, yeah, that's right. It's been over like 1,000 years. Jeez. 1,000 years ago, I'm just going to give you guys the quick backstory. 1,000 years ago, every single religious following that follows God and all the stuff like that came together and said that I was the true God, because I was giving things, because I was helping them out while the other gods did practically nothing. And it was true. They did nothing. I didn't want anything in return, but I gave them everything I could. And so, what happens when a god is not believed in is that their power is slowly distributed to any other god. But when every other god is starting to be disbelieved in, like not believed in, and there's only one that is, that one gets an extremely tremendous amount of power. And the gods are unkillable. Now think about every single one of them. More than like 100 gods. All invincible, all almighty and stuff like that, going into one being. Me. But because of how long it's been, the story's kind of gone like blurred up. Thinking that I was the one and true only God, but really, I wasn't even a god before that. I was just somebody who was born with extremely gifted powers. And they're like, "Wait, you were born now?" And he says, "Not now. I was born at least, I'd say 20 years ago. Probably 20 to 30 years ago. And some things happened, and it was 10 years later that I was able to break out, and I was able to go and live with the other gods, and so forth and so on, and all that stuff. And so I was given more and more godly powers until I became the one above all, you could say. I was the god that even if another god was created, they wouldn't be able to be above me. I would be above anything. Even if they were to be made, I'd still have an infinite amount of power." So, like, you know how every god has like an infinite amount of power? Izuku has an infinite amount of power, but if you were to times infinity by more than 100, you'd get a number that not even a god could probably tell you because of how long it'd be. So yeah, Izuku's just pretty dang powerful because he's practically the one above all. And you might be thinking, who is this one above all in real life? Well, there is an actual following or religious following that believes in the one above all, but it is a Marvel character that I'm getting this inspiration from. It's practically if Stan Lee was a real character in the MCU. Or not in the MCU, that's the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Actually, no, it could be the MCU. Marvel Comic Universe. Or universes, because you know how that stuff works and everything. But you get the gist. And so they're all like, "So you weren't really a god, but now you're not just a god, you're the one above all type of god." And he's like, "Yes, I'm alright with you guys not believing in me anymore. I'm still going to help you. That's just the type of person I am." And they're like, "Of course we're going to believe in you. You just freaking saved us." He's like, "I know. And whereas he says that, the devil, in this gigantic flame type of hole, comes down and says, "So you're telling me that you only gave me the sinful?" And Izuku turns around and says, "I mean, yes. Listen, I can make it so that you have this other part where you're in control of purgatory, this new area that I was thinking about. It's filled with people that, weren't bad, but weren't always good. They were kind of just in the middle, perfectly centered. You can control that. It's practically a, like a utopia. Nothing goes wrong, but nothing is always right. It's practically, just like a boring world, but because of how many people are there and stuff, and because you're probably going to be the one seeing, like looking over it, you can make it so that it's a little bit more fun, a little bit more, mean. You can do whatever you want with it. But if you're this mad about ruling over all the sinful, I'll take up that job for you, okay? And so the devil's like, really? And Izuku's like, yeah, of course, I made you. I don't want you to feel like bad or anything. If you felt like this, you should have come to me before. You know that I wouldn't be mad at you or anything. I'm not that type of person. He practically has like a heart to heart to him if he was like his father, because he practically is. Now, Izuku's actual son walks up and says, okay, so if you were a real human before, I'm sorry I'm going off topic and everything, like this is what he's saying, but what was your name? And everybody's like, yeah, what was your name? And he turns around and he says, my name was Izuku Midoriya. Your father was my clone. The military had a person that made a clone of me and gave them a little bit of my power. Not a ton, like they just gave him a random power. Not really sure what, but he lived out the life. And the way you were born was I kind of lived through my clone Izuku, the clone of me's life. And so I practically lived that life. So I decided I'm going to need an heir. I'm going to need a helper or somebody to look over this world when I need to do something else. That might or might not happen. I'm not sure, because even though I was able to time travel, I'm still not certain about the future because the future hasn't been made yet. So I decided to make you. What I did was I put the most brightest and lightest part of me, the part of me that's practically the light entity of me. I still got a ton of that in me. You are like a fraction of that, okay? You're still incredibly powerful, and I'm amazed at how powerful you become, and I'm so happy for you. But at the same time, I know that you could become way better, and I want to help you with that. So I'm going to make another person that will teach you how to use your powers like an actual god. Now, you're not going to rule over these people or anything, because if you were, you'd go to your room. He's like, well, do you have another room for me? I'm like, he's like, yes, I didn't want your, like this, like he's talking to him because something did happen. He's like, I didn't want your parents to die, but at the same time, things gotta happen, man. People always will die. You can, set it off and stuff, but it's always set in stone for people to die. And I want to see how you guys react to that stuff. And so after that heart to heart and stuff, as everything's settled, Izuku gives purgatory over to the devil. He looks over heaven and hell. His son is trained by this type of a mentor and stuff, and everything kind of, just becomes this perfect utopia. There are those villain attacks, but they're stopped and everything. So yeah, this was practically just a 2-part series, but it took over about 50 minutes, way over, probably like more than an hour if we were to put them together. But yeah, next thing I might make is what if Izuku Midoriya was Iron Man. It's like the reboot version. I got a really good idea for it. And then another one I might do is what if Izuku Midoriya had the Imperial Army as a quirk. Maybe even the droid army. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I still need to make this Sonic and Black Air Sans Black. I'm not really sure where I can find any information on Sans Black. So if you guys know any information about Sans Black, put it in the comments. I'd love to know. Sonic, I already kind of know what I'm going to do for that. I'm going to make both of these what ifs probably really simple and short because they're going to be. Ooh, that's cool. Really uh, easy to make. Like Sonic, I could probably just do it right now. There's no. But the gist is that he's incredibly fast and he's able to see while he's going incredibly fast. So he's going to probably be able to stop all crime, but at the same time, I want him to actually have a story. So yeah, Sans Black might be the same way, but he's probably going to be a villain. So yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. But after that, I'm probably just going to listen to some music and go to sleep. So I'll see y'all next time. Ooh, another thing, I am virtual until January 11th for school. So tomorrow and then the next day, I won't have to, well, I'll just be virtual. Really, nothing really changes for you guys, but for me, stuff changes. When I mean stuff changes, I mean it's hard for my mom to wrap up the presents because me and my brother are both home. I'm downstairs. My brother's in the same office as her, but she's not doing that in her office. I think she did them in, her bedroom. I'm not sure, but yeah, I will see y'all in the next What If, and yeah, peace.